Hi guys, been a while. So I want to review for you today Zaharoff's Signature Pour Homme. Another one of those fragrances that reviewers really rave about, and so I wanted to experience it for myself and give you my honest opinion. So first of all, there is a big draw with this fragrance, and I think that's the price that we have to mention because I have the 2-ounce 60 ml bottle here, which comes in just under $100, I believe, and I think that in and of itself is a really good kind of argument for getting this fragrance because it promises to have really natural, really high quality ingredients, right? So if it really meets that goal, then I think that you're getting a lot for your money. And that's why I was interested in this fragrance, because of the value, the potential, the sort of kind of niche quality that you can get at a more affordable price, and the fact that it's going to be a bit different from other scents. So I'm going to spray it. Yeah. So you might hear that this scent is sort of an old school barbershop type of scent. I actually don't get that sort of vibe. The very first time that I smelled this, I was surprised by a couple things. I got mostly myrrh and oud in the opening. So it felt very, very strong, very woody, rich. Other times I wore it, I actually got more of the rose facet that was kind of interesting, right? It's this rose and lavender combination that's more fresh and aromatic. Again, we're talking about the opening. And then would come the myrrh and the more oriental feel to this fragrance. So overall impressions, it's actually quite sweet. I think despite the name being signature, it's a little bit too heavy, in my opinion, to wear all year round. I think this is better suited as a cold weather fragrance, but you can wear it, all year round. It's just not ideal. There is this prominent lavender note, but I think really the lavender is just one of many notes that are going on in this fragrance. It's not necessarily the star, I would say. This has a lot going on. And so there's no doubt that I think there's a natural feel to this fragrance. There is no harshness, so that's really good. I can tell you also that it's a different kind of smelling scent, so it'll probably be relatively unique in your collection, and that's also what I like about this scent. The other thing is, along with it being sweet, and we'll talk a little bit more about the sweetness, but again, there's a strong oud note, and the myrrh really also is at the forefront, and so it ends up having a pretty strong Middle Eastern vibe that is not going to be for everyone, right? So this is a great scent, but there's a little bit of an edgy, exotic kind of quality about it that doesn't suit everybody. It's not, it really kind of strays from the kinds of fragrances that you might find with a house like Creed, which really has these mass appealing kind of scents. This one is more niche, I guess you could say, from that perspective. It really feels, it's for a smaller crowd. I don't think that it's the maturity is the issue here. It's really the amount of sweetness for me, and this kind of, I don't know, there is not so much citrus, which is why this might be, it's not the most challenging fragrance, but it's a little bit challenging in that sense, where there is an absence of fruits. So it's really the lavender giving it this freshness, and underneath it is a lot of this these heavy oriental notes, right? Myrrh and oud. What makes it a little bit funky, in my opinion, is if they went with an amber note, right? I think it might kind of be a little bit more uniform smelling, but instead there's a vanilla note, and it's a more straight up kind of vanilla feel. And I have seen this where vanilla does differ from amber, and so it lacks sort of the darkness, so it's a little bit creamier than what you might find with a more amber forward scent. It has more of the creamy kind of whipped, I guess whipped cream kind of vanilla feel to it. again, balanced by the lavender. But again, without the citrus, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit, there's a little bit of a bitter tone as well to the fragrance. I like that they use incense. I think, I love the sort of smokiness. And in fact, I think sometimes it makes the fragrance feel even sharper and cleaner. So I like the use of incense here. And like I said, sometimes in the opening, I pick up on the rose right away. It's kind of like a dab of, bright paint on an otherwise bland surface. So a little bit of that twist, right? That's sort of what the rose adds for me. But really, I guess I've talked a lot about, notes, which I typically don't do because it's hard to convey kind of the exact smell like that. But, here, it's really one of the few fragrances where it's not hard to individually pick out the notes. And I'm not saying that the scent is good or bad because of that. I'm just saying that's how it is, right? But at the very least, it'll keep you interested. And that's actually sort of the purpose that this fragrance serves for me. It's not an everyday wear. It's not the most amazing smell I've ever smelled. It's not my favorite scent, but it's a good scent. It's a good quality smelling scent, and it's different and it's interesting. And so it adds to a collection, and you want to kind of smell it once in a while because it has that sort of exotic smell to it. So overall, in the opening, you'll get hit with the oud, but it's fresh because of the lavender. Has a kind of a fresh cut grass type of freshness and an aromatic quality. Of course, it's a lavender smell, but in terms of sort of the texture or the freshness, that's how I would describe it, like a fresh cut grass. And then, of course, if you're familiar with the note myrrh, definitely myrrh here. I don't know how I would describe myrrh otherwise. You sort of have to experience it. It smells different in each fragrance, but it has a very, to me, deep, resinous, kind of addicting quality about it. And so I do like that about this scent. But again, because of this lack of citrus, and actually overall lacks acidity, it sort of has a more bitter and more medicinal and kind of cool feel. When you add sandalwood also, sandalwood also has this sort of bitter, nutty, or milky kind of smell, and it makes it even more like that. Then you add vanilla and it makes it even more like that. So all these kind of push it in this certain direction. I think I would have preferred a more, I don't know, maybe heavier woody base notes or more mossiness to sort of give it a little bit more darkness, because it is sweet, it is oriental, but it is also kind of light and fresh, so it's a little bit odd, right? And you might like that about that scent, but I think that's what makes it sort of not the most mass appealing kind of scent. Now, what is interesting also when you get into the dry down is one of the first things that I picked up smelling this is this kind of green woody feel, and really, what I'm trying to describe is a note of cypress, this fresh fern sort of feel that cypress gives off. And I mentioned earlier, the texture, you get this sort of cut grass cleanliness, and that's also describing the cypress note. So the cypress note has this kind of dry, slightly herbal, and I said a bit medicinal earlier. So again, a dry, slightly herbal, and bitter nuance. Sometimes it can even add a kind of a minty feel as well to the fragrance that I think in this case, again, overall keeps it fresh. And I think that's why people might say that this is a great signature scent. For me personally, again, a bit oriental in the type of smell to be sort of, and a bit sweet to be a signature scent. This is more of like a smell once in a while kind of thing, occasionally going out. Yeah, so you gotta like this genre of fragrances. But overall, a great scent. I think it's definitely worth sampling. And if you like it, it's actually a really good value purchase. So that's how I would recommend this fragrance. Now, along with this, the brand shipped the Z Creator series samples. So that was great. So I got to experience those. Now, I just want to mention one of them, Brass and Soul, which I really liked. And I have to test it a bit more, but my first impressions of it were really good. The other two, unfortunately, the Amber Scent Siren was very familiar to smelling. It didn't really jump out at me as being unique. And then Business Over Pleasure, the TLTG scent. It was very, for some reason, I guess it might be my skin, but I couldn't smell it. It was very light. And I was surprised, I thought he would go for something stronger, but I'm not sure what it is yet because of how light it wore. I couldn't really test it. But let me tell you a little bit about sort of the overall smell I get from Brass and Soul. All right, so here's this little sample. It's one of those dabbing samples, so a bit harder. All right, so I think I've got enough. Let's go for a smell. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really good. Actually, I prefer, it's hard to say whether I prefer this because this one, Brass and Soul, really, the opening is the best part, okay? I'm not saying that it's not good in the dry down, but the opening is just so good. It's actually, in my opinion, it's so perfect, the opening. To my taste, I really enjoy it. What I get, so there's definitely, again, this is just I don't know the notes, but there's definitely a fruitiness. And it's good. Yeah, I mean, there's a fruitiness, but it has a really, really nice and strong, fizzy, gin and tonic kind of quality. And I think, Justin being a fan of like Sean John 3 a.m. and that type of scent, I can see maybe, there's some inspiration or, this is his style of fragrance. But there's a masculinity really to the scent as well. Almost like there might be even, leather here. It's not a really thick or dark kind of leather, but it just, reminds me, I don't know if there's a leather note, but it gives me sort of a very, it reminds me of a leather jacket. Sometimes when I talk about fragrances with the leather note, I often, I describe sort of an old, like old furniture, old instruments, books, libraries, that kind of setting, old couch, dustiness. Here, it's not like that at all. It feels like a cocktail sitting on top of a refined leather couch in a lounge. It's more of a lounge atmosphere. Very modern, very fresh. I think that, I get some ambroxan as well. I keep reapplying it because it's not very much you can get from here. But yeah, again, the opening, it's perfect, near perfect, and then it's not as good in the dry down. It turns more into a kind of musky, maybe cedar type of scent. But I wish that the opening lasted longer. It has the right balance of tartness, this kind of rugged, abrasive quality about it, tangy at the same time, and that's really what I love about this. But definitely worth a try. I might even get a full bottle of it after testing it some more. And then in the dry down, you do get sort of, actually even from the opening, in the background of all this, you do get this more shower gel or deodorant type of scent. And I think that's going to actually please a lot of people, right? A lot of people like this core kind of fresh DNA that you get in a lot of fragrances. Actually, I was retesting Sedley recently, and Sedley also has this kind of the opening magical, real nice kind of citrus, And then in the dry down, it sort of develops into this more shower gel fresh type of scent. And in a way, Brass and Soul does that too. Very airy, very almost like in the aquatic realm. That type of freshness and a soapy, not a powdery soapy, but a kind of fresh shower gel soapy kind of feel. Again, mixing in a little bit of musk. It's hard to say if there is a leather note that this, there is a really leather kind of fragrance. It's not. It's bright all the way through, and I can see this as being a very good kind of daytime, everyday wear. And so I think, just even because of the opening alone, I would probably wear this a lot. So great scent. Doesn't mean the others are bad. I'm just more impressed with Brass and Soul, and part of it is my taste. So there you go, guys. I hope you like this review. I'm gonna try to do a review maybe each day, hopefully for the next few days. I do have sort of a backlog of scents that I wanted to review. Next one probably is gonna be Fahrenheit Le Parfum, so look out for it. I'll see you in the next review. Bye.